Fox Sports.
We are Fox Sports. We are NC.
Baseball is presented by Academy Sports and Outdoors. The Royals are 3-1 in the second half after taking the series in Chicago, and now back to Kauffman Stadium for 6 of the next 7 days, with 3 against the Pittsburgh Pirates. Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the ballpark with Rex Hudler. I'm Ryan Lefevre. Joe Goldberg, Jeff Montgomery are coming up. Going to be a fun series. 2 very similar teams. They're young. They're built from within, play with a lot of energy. Favorites around the country because they were struggling franchises not long ago, and you can make a case that their best players are both in center field.
They are, and it makes it exciting to watch, especially with all the ground to cover here at the K. It's exciting to see athletes, and when you see athletes, you see things sometimes that you have to do double takes with. Both of these guys. McCutchen, he's an MVP. Lorenzo Cain, he's becoming one with his bat, with his legs, and with those base running skills. It's extremely fun to watch.
Let's begin with McCutchen. 2 years ago, he was a National League MVP. 3 years ago, he won a Gold Glove.
Going in, coming back, going side to side. You got the bat, short, quick, compact. This athlete's not very big in size, but he's got a huge heart and tremendous skill packet.
Lorenzo Cain was just named the American League Player of the Week.
Same thing. Tremendous running skills, all 4 gears. Lean back. He's got the same kind of pop McCutchen's got, and we don't even know how high he can go with his homers. But his athleticism and his base running have really set him apart from the rest of the competition. Low Cain can get the job done.
And we should have a good pitching matchup tonight with 24-year-old Yordano Ventura. His career is just getting started. And 38-year-old A.J. Burnett, he says this is his last year.
actually was yesterday, and for that, Danny Duffy is our Honda most trusted player. The bullpen was depleted after a busy weekend of baseball. 13 innings on Saturday, doubleheader on Friday, and there were only a couple of pitchers available out of the pen. So Danny Duffy, a career-high 8 innings. He went into the 9th inning and was just brilliant. Let them put the ball in play. His defense went to work, and when he needed the strikeouts, he was able to get them. What a performance by Danny Duffy. Now good to be home, Joel Goldberg, alongside of Royals Hall of Famer Jeff Montgomery. So we saw one of the Royals' young guns get it done yesterday. Tonight here we see a contrast in styles. The veteran who used to be the hard thrower, and the young guy in Yordano Ventura, who was only 8 years old when A.J. Burnett broke into the league.
Well, Burnett has 17 years in the major leagues. He understands what it takes. Now, he's not the same guy that throws that mid to upper 90s fastball, but he's got a great curveball. He gets hitters to chase it, as a result, having an all-star season.
And so maybe Yordano Ventura can learn from this. We have heard from so many pitchers over the years, including Edinson Volquez, who said, when I broke in, I used to throw hard, and then I had to learn how to pitch. How has Burnett learned how to pitch?
Well, he's a guy that's really adjusted because he's still got the good spike curveball he'll throw. He gets hitters to chase that pitch very effectively by setting up that pitch, and that's the key. Set it up. You have to set up the pitch if you're going to get guys to chase balls out of the strike zone.
Try to get to him tonight, because tomorrow they have their young stud, Garrett Cole, going. The Royals have their guy on the mound tonight. Yordano Ventura, Salvador Perez, ready to go. First pitch coming up next.
Is brought to you by your local Kansas City Chevy dealers. Drop by for great prices on all the new 2015 vehicles today. And by the Missouri Lottery. Every ticket you play gives back to schools across Missouri. So play it forward with the Missouri Lottery. On a pleasant, warm night at Kauffman Stadium, and the Pittsburgh Pirates in town. If not for the Cardinals having the best record in baseball, the Pirates might be on the top of their division. Clint Hurdle, the former Royal, former first-round pick of the Royals back in 1975, played with the Royals from 1977 through 1981, and after 20 consecutive losing seasons in Pittsburgh, he has led them to the postseason in back-to-back years. And here is his starting lineup tonight against right-hander Yordano Ventura, as Kia will put us in the driver's seat. And it's a small sample size, but a successful sample size for Yordano Ventura. against the National League. That's what he's done in his career. This year he's made 4 starts with an ERA of 2.63.
He's tough on hitters that have faced him before. But if you've never faced him before, like the Pirates, there's only one guy in their lineup, Sean Rodriguez, in the 9th spot tonight, is just got 1 at bat. So he'll be tough. Ventura's got that blazing fastball, averages 95, but he'll touch the upper 90s. Curve change, and he'll cut the fastball as well.
Pirates have speed, just like the Royals do. Gregory Polanco, and a good fastball at the knees at 95 to begin the game. Pirates, like the Royals, they don't hit a lot of home runs. They play in a big ballpark like the Royals do. They don't walk very much. They have speed. So 2 similar style teams for the next 3 days. 2 mostly young teams built around young homegrown players. Escobar will make the play at short. What a day the Royals had yesterday in Chicago on defense. In particular, Alcides Escobar. Here's how they're lined up tonight, presented by Ford. Gerard Dyson will play center field and left field tonight with Rios and right.
He's got skills right now.
That's going to frighten some people. Where's Lorenzo Cain?
Well, look, they might have saved 4 runs yesterday in that game, but they stole about 5 or 6 hits. That's what really frustrated the White Sox. It's a great defense, and it's going to be fun to watch. Ventura, mainly a fly ball pitcher.
1-1 on Neil Walker, who has a 9-game hitting streak. There he is. He was ashamed to think that Dyson was going to play both left field and center. So he ran out there very quickly. Here's Dyson coming over from left or center. And there are 2 down.
Early countouts will suit him just fine. Stays in the game longer, just like Duffy. You know, Duffy was pitching to contact, and there's no reason why Giordano won't do the same. Even though he has that power fastball and he has strikeout ability, he still has learned how to pitch to that defense.
Andrew McCutchen. Fastball at, 100 miles an hour. No balls, 1 strike.
It's very exciting to watch this young pitcher. He's free and easy with his motion, and you would never believe that that ball could come out of that arm at that velocity. But that's a nice overhand curve that he uses. He'll mix in the changeup. He'll throw some cutters, but not a lot of them. Doesn't really need them.
.99 over the outside. Well, he should be plenty strong tonight, because Ventura last pitched a week ago Thursday on July the 9th. That was his first start since coming back from the disabled list. He got through 5 with 88 pitches, so a long layoff, and he was throwing hard that night. Pittsburgh Pirates, that is Giordano Ventura.
Woo-wee, that hammer looking sharp. And so is Ventura. That fastball 100-mile-an-hour plus. McCutchen, you got to go.
21 games above 500. Ned Yo's team has won 10 of their last 12. And that is the best record in the American League. It is the largest divisional lead in the major leagues. 6 games over the Minnesota Twins. And the Royals will be facing a pitcher they've seen quite a bit of over the years in A.J. Burnett, but this is a different version of A.J. Burnett. They remember the hard throwing, effectively wild A.J. Burnett.
Yep, he's pitching now like a lot of guys do, but most of them are already out by age 38, and he's saying that this is his last season despite the success he's had. You see that ERA 2.11, third best in baseball. That's really good. He's been solid basically.
I think Escobar is going for the major league record for consecutive games swinging at the first pitch, and if he keeps doing that, nobody's going to stop him.
Yeah, and he's finding a lot of dirt in the infield and outfield grass on those base hits. Burnett, I was just going to say, he's basically a 2-pitch pitcher. He's got a 2-seam sinker, and he's got a short little slider, curveball, call it what you want. Likes to keep the ball away from righties, and he'll mix in a few changeups, but he's mainly 2 pitches. Likes to.
And the league, the National League, has been running wild on the Pittsburgh Pirates. So why not? So 2 pitches into the game, and the Royals have Escobar at second base.
And we watched the Royals be extremely aggressive in the first inning. They are really on it. Now, it's not that they're not trying the rest of the game, but the first inning, they are really pressuring opponents with their style. That stolen base gets him over there into scoring position for Moose to move him along.
That is the 79th stolen base allowed by the Pirates, the most in the major leagues. And he grounds it past third and up the left field line. Mike Moustakas drives in Escobar, and now he's digging for 2, and he will be out. Royals have a 1-0 lead, 3 pitches into the game against A.J. Burnett.
It's almost a carbon copy from yesterday's game up in Chicago. Being aggressive, attacking first pitch strikes. That was a nice stroke by Moose going down the left field line, but their left fielder, Starling Marte, has one of the best arms. He's got a cannon. And Moose saw it.
So Lorenzo Cain with the bases empty, 1 down. The American League Player of the Week, Lorenzo Cain. And man, what a series he had in Chicago. 7 hits, 2 home runs, a stolen base, 3 runs driven in, 3 runs scored.
That assist out there by Marte is his 6th. So he's got a strong arm. I mean, a cannon. Polanco in right's got 3 outfield assists. McCutchen in center has 4.
Very high out into shallow left center field. Gung makes the catch, and 2 down in the first inning. We'll look at the Pirates defensively. Marte, McCutchen, Polanco in the outfield. Rodriguez, Gung is how the shortstop's last name is pronounced. Walker, the Pittsburgh kid, at second. Ishikawa, who was with the Giants during the World Series, and Cervelli behind the plate. Ball 1-2. Eric Hosmer.
Gung, the shortstop, has been playing some third base for the Pirates this year. They had an injury to one of their shortstop yesterday, so Gung is playing short.
And it's by him, and Hosmer is safe with 2 down.
Let's see how the official wants to score this one. Yeah, E6. Gung doesn't have a lot of range. Now this one here, he just didn't keep his glove down on it, but he's new. He's directly from the Korean League, and is the first Korean position player to ever jump from the Korean League right to the majors. There's been a couple other Korean position players, but they were all produced in the minor leagues.
Jung Ho Gung. Shin Soo Choo is one of those players you're talking about. He was an amateur when he first signed with Seattle. Hee Sop Choi, first baseman with the Dodgers organization.
Yeah, they were developed in the minors. Special talent, though. He come directly from that league where he hit 40-something homers, I believe, in that Korean league.
Wow, they have switched the scoring on that last play, so give Eric Hosmer an infield single. Kendrys Morales has hit in 6 straight. Now I say the Royals as a team have seen quite a bit of AJ Burnett, but most of the players on the roster today have not. Morales is one of the few that has a sizable number of at-bats. He has 11. Alex Rios has the most, 21. But again, that was a different AJ Burnett. 1 ball, 1 strike. Morales drove in 1 in the Chicago series. Morales is out. So Rodriguez, the third baseman, over on the right side of second base. Inning over. Escobar singles, steals second. Moustakas gets him home. To tweet your strongest fan photo, use hashtag KCDataStrongFan, and you just might see yourself in an upcoming broadcast brought to you by T-Mobile. Well, the Royals once again scoring in the first inning. Royals are now 24-5 when they score in the first inning. That's the best record in the major leagues, and they accomplished that in the final 2 games of the Chicago series. Yordan Ventura retired the 3 batters he faced in the first. This is Starling Marte. Got to look at his arm. Throwing out Mike Moustakas, trying to turn an RBI single into a double.
Yep, we saw the throwing arm, but this player might have the best tools of any player out there. Extreme talent.
Good looking swing going the other way for a leadoff single. A reminder, as you enjoy a cold one, to look forward to Miller Time later in tonight's game, brought to you by Miller Lite.
Man, Escobar El Mago, the magic man, he put on the show yesterday. This one here, he says he does those in his sleep. No, he didn't say that, but I did. And this one here, extremely special. Look at the backhand in the game. Stayed on top so well.
Fouled away by Jung Ho Gung. So he'll be at shortstop. Jordy Mercer, the Pirates' regular shortstop, was injured yesterday in Milwaukee on a freak play. Don't know if I've seen it before, but taken out by Brewers center fielder Carlos Gomez about 10 feet in front of second base. It wasn't around the bag. It was very short of second base, and it looked like Gomez didn't know what to do, so he slid into him. I'm sure Mercer wasn't expecting to get slid into that far away from the bag, and injured his left leg badly. He'll be out for a while.
Yeah, didn't look good at all. And you know, they were playing the shift over, and he was over there, the shortstop on the second base side. So watch him. See, he's going to come over. He's not expecting. He's just looking for the tag, and he wasn't expecting the slide. But if you're in the baseline, and you can slide anywhere from first base to second base in the baseline, that's legal. That just caught him off guard, and when you're not off the ground and your feet are planted on the ground, you're going to get hurt. Something will give there.
And that's our University of Kansas Hospital injury report. 15-day disabled list. The sprained medial collateral ligament. He's going to miss 6 weeks. The Pirates are missing their entire left side of the infield. Josh Harrison, who nearly won a batting title last year, their third baseman, he's out until September with a thumb injury. Another diving back, sliding into a bag head first.
Yeah. Beautiful.
What's she working on there?
I don't know. She's really sweet. Chips, anything she wants. Marte, he stumbled. Looked like he was trying to go to second base. He can steal bases. He's got 17. Been caught 7 times.
That ball's hit very hard into left field. So the Pirates have 2 on with nobody out. And now Gung, getting an opportunity to play, has hit in 7 straight games.
Fastball middle of the plate. Now they may throw a little bit harder over here in the big leagues in America than they do in the Korean League. Matter of fact, 88, 87, 86, that's about the maximum velocity they throw over there in that league. But here he's showing no problem turning on that mid-90s fastball.
And now Pedro Alvarez. He'll be the Pirates' designated hitter with the American League rules. Normally their first baseman. Hitting .230 and struggling at the moment. Down and away, ball 1.
See that nice big wide angle of the K here. Lorenzo Cain playing him to the off field, a little opposite field action, probably because of the velocity on Ventura's fastball.
Change up, 2 balls, no strikes.
Pirates hitting .270 as a team with runners in scoring position. Not a bad mark. Giordano, he knows what to do here. Try to keep it down. Get the big man to ground it to a double play. He's induced 6 double plays this season. Alvarez only hit into 2.
And with a shift, it's a base hit and a run. If there is no shift, That'll be the third time that Alvarez grounds into a double play. He drives in his 42nd, and the Pirates have tied the game.
Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. 3 straight singles. Renzo Cain, he was playing to the opposite field. Now, I don't know why they had Escobar playing him to pull, but he was, and that's what allowed that ball to get through. Pirates jump right back.
Inside to Francisco Cervelli. There are so many similarities between these two teams, and we mentioned youth, homegrown players, play with a lot of energy, franchises that were losing organizations for a long time that are now model organizations. They're also both very resilient teams. That probably comes with the energy. And we talk so often about how often the Royals answer when the opponent scores. Well, tonight it's, at least to this point, it's the Pirates answering after the Royals score. And these are the two best teams by the numbers bouncing back when the opponent puts a run on the scoreboard. Good hard breaking ball. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Academy Sports and Outdoors leaderboard talking about that. Most runs scored after the opponent just scored. Pirates have the 2nd most. The Royals have the 4th most.
It's an important trait too. You know, you want to have that, instill that characteristic on your ball club, then jump right back on them.
Another base hit. And now the ball gets by Cain. Gung had been stopped at third base, but then waved home after the error, and the Pirates lead 2-1. So no RBI for Cervelli. 4 straight singles against Giordano Ventura after a dominant top of the 1st inning.
And Alvarez, he fell down right on his face rounding second base, or else he would have went to third. This ball was hit well. The ball just, the second hop really hopped up and bit Cain. It came up a little higher than he thought it would, hit him in the palm, and you see this runner Alvarez at second base fell down, or at least he would have been at third base too. Gotta watch out for that base sometimes. It gets in the way.
Quick visit from Dave Island before Ventura pitches to Travis Ishikawa. What a ride last year for Travis Ishikawa. Came up through the Giants organization, had moved on to the Pirates, and was struggling with them. Designated for assignment. Thought about quitting. Signed back on with the Giants. That ball's deep into the left field corner, off the wall, and Dyson got too close to the wall. And Ishikawa will drive in 2 more, and the Pirates take a 4-1 lead in the 2nd inning.
You just never know. After that 1st inning by Ventura, he was dominant. 2nd inning, here come the Pirates. They are slashing Ventura here in this 2nd inning here, pounding him. 5th straight hit. Waited a little bit late. Ball's on the outside part of the plate. Good short quick swing. Nearly went out of the ballpark. Just like that. The Pirates so quick. Now they're going to talk about that. They're wondering if it went up over the line there, and that's what Hurdle's talking to home plate umpire about. It looked to me like it hit off the padding without having to see the replay, but Dyson thought he could catch it. That's the reason why he pursued it all the way to the wall. He didn't believe it was going to carry that far, but in a nice evening tonight like it is. Let's see where it hit. It looked like it hit off the metal.
Maybe Clint Hurdle's wondering, did it touch the fan's hand before it hit the metal? So anyway, just to finish the thought on Ishikawa, he was close to giving up the game in the Pirates organization last year. The Giants signed him back. He hits a walk-off home run to send the Giants into the World Series. A walk-off home run in Game 5 of the National League Championship Series. He's a world champion with San Francisco. We know all about that. And now he's back with the Pirates again. And he had been 0 for his last 10 before that double. Normally when something like this happens, at least the middle infielders might hang around second base and talk to the runner. But they're all gathered behind the pitcher's mound, probably because nobody wants to talk to anybody from the Giants last year.
That's right. I believe it's got to go over that little metal railing there to be a homer. Yeah, so it's I think you're right. We're talking about to see if the fan touched it.
So confirmed, and the Pirates did not require a challenge there. That is an umpire challenge, and when replay first started, before we had challenges, you could always ask the umpires to review a boundary play, and so Pirates do not lose a challenge for that.
Yep, and Jerry Davis going over there and telling Hurdle, you still have your challenge. To remind him.
By the way, still nobody out, and this is Sean Rodriguez. Marte singled, Gung singled, Alvarez singled. That scored the first run. Cervelli singled. An error by Kane scored a run, and then the Ishikawa double scored Alvarez and Cervelli. No balls and 2 strikes on Sean Rodriguez.
This guy's a nice pickup for him. He's a National League style player who started his career in the American League. Plays some first base, left field, right field, third, second. You put him anywhere. Good athlete, hard ball player, hustles.
Look out. Pirates were playing the last place team in their division, just like the Royals were. Royals took 3 out of 4. The Pirates were swept by the Brewers. 1 ball and 2 strikes in Milwaukee. But Clint Hurdle's team has had a very interesting season this year. They have been hot and cold, and in the end, they are several games above 500, 16 games above 500, but they started the season losing 4 out of 5, then they won 10 out of 14, then they lost 5, then they won 4, then they lost 4, and so it goes. But a resilient team after being swept by the Brewers. Off to a good start here tonight. Good breaking ball down. Ventura strikes out his second, and that's out number 1 in the second inning.
Well, you know, the Pirates, they came off of a real emotional series before the break against the Cardinals, where they won 3 out of 4, took the break, then they went in to play Milwaukee. You know, I'm not sure that, I mean, I didn't hear this from any of the Pirate people, but maybe they just thought they were going to show up and automatically take the series there. Whenever you play a last place team, you expect to beat them. It didn't happen. And that's baseball. So now and then they lost their shortstop, so they're kind of reeling a little bit today, but those 4 quick runs might have picked their dauber up a little.
And similar to the Royals, you know, You think getting swept, you think losing a player is really going to handicap a team, but like the Royals, just when you think something like that's going to happen, the exact opposite occurs. And again, these two teams very similar. Sometimes adversity will bring the best out in a team. Polanco lined out to Escobar to begin the game. So Pirates begin the second time through the order. Two and one.
Ventura finding a little bit too much of the middle on the first three hitters. Cervelli stayed inside out on a pitch away, and Ishikawa, he hit a ball that was on the outer half, and he hit it where it was pitched. So there's been some good hitting here in this inning against Ventura. It's not all on Ventura. The hitter's got to be able to put that ball, and all of them have been squared up. Hasn't been any doinkers.
Two and two on Polanco.
Polanco, he 270 hitter with runners in scoring position. That leadoff spot. Another guy with energy. Three guys on there that, you know, got to play with a lot of energy, good speed.
And now 3 balls, 2 strikes with Neil Walker on deck. Ten pitches to get through the first inning. Polanco, Walker, and McCutchen. And now Ventura will make his 29th pitch of this inning. And he has 1 out. He has 2 outs. Polanco. I don't know if he was trying to convince Phil Cuzzi that that was a ball. No argument, but he tossed his bat right after the pitch was thrown. And Ventura struck out 2 in the inning.
Good little 4-seam fastball right there. Just caught him, froze him. That ball had plenty of the dish. Yeah, Polanco got to go.
And now Neil Walker. Escobar throws him out. That's the inning. The Pirates down 1-0. Send 8 to the plate in the second inning and put 4 on the scoreboard. Pirates with a 4-run second inning, lead by 3 as the Royals come up very early in the game. We found out today a ship will be commissioned, the USS Kansas City. It is a littoral, L-I-T-T-O-R-A-L combat ship, which is defined as a class of relatively small surface vessels intended for operations in the littoral zone close to shore by the U.S. Navy. The USS Kansas City. Well, the Pirates answer the Royals, and now the Royals are going to try and answer the Pirates. Salvador Perez begins the homestand with a base hit to center field off of A.J. Burnett. Ceremony prior to the game tonight. Some sailors to be sworn in. There's a shot of the USS Kansas City.
That is really, really cool that Kansas City has one of the newer USA ships named after him. Oh, it's beautiful. Nice ceremony.
Ray Mabus, Secretary of the Navy, throwing out the first pitch. Kansas City Mayor Sly James there as well. Royals got the leadoff man on the first inning, Escobar, and he scored. Now Omar Infante drills it to left field. It'll stay in the ballpark, but the Royals will have runners at second and third with nobody out.
Fasten your seatbelts, folks. We could be in for a high-scoring affair tonight.
Which would be unexpected considering this pitching matchup.
That's exactly right, but you just never know in baseball. One of the many reasons why it's the grand game. Two-seamer. He likes to run that in on righties, and he'll try to backdoor it on righties as well, but that stayed out over the plate. And then Fonte, he was waiting on it. '19th double for the second baseman.
And now Alex Rios. Breaking ball is outside. Mentioned in the first inning, Rios has the most career at bats against Burnett. They both played for the Blue Jays, and then Burnett spent some time with the Yankees in the American League East. 6 hits and 21 at bats for Rios against A.J. Burnett.
Burnett against righties loves to use the outer half. He just lives on the outer half. Rarely will he come inside. And I don't think he was intending to on Infante. Breaking balls away, everything away.
And that was ruled no swing on appeal to first base umpire Jerry Davis. So it's 2-1 to Rios.
Burnett used to be a hard thrower. We all know that, but now he's more of a pitcher. He's average fastballs 90. Might see some 92s, but he's going to be okay with the high 80s as well. Relies on command, location, changing speeds. He's got a changeup that he'll use. Now that pitch there, he wants to get that two-seamer working, and later when he gets it working like he wants to, he'll start it there and it'll backdoor and catch the outside of the part of the plate, freeze the righties. Does the same thing to lefties in.
May have been ball 4. 3 balls, 2 strikes.
When he gets going, he'll live out there on righties.
Salvador Perez singled, Omar Infante doubled right after the Pirates got 4 in the second inning. They're going to set up outside again, and a little bit off speed, and Rios strikes out. Not a changeup, but he took enough off it where Rios looked like he was out in front.
That's another thing that veterans learn how to do, change speeds on all their pitches, not just one of them. He's going to do whatever it takes. We'll show you a breakdown of him when he was a lot younger, and now how he hasn't lost that much velocity, but it's just Mother Nature taking over. But his ERA, how about that? It's gotten better. More ground balls.
Good movement there to Dyson.
That's his two-seamer. He likes to start in there on lefties and freeze them. So hitters can make a mental note of that. Dyson might go back to the dugout and say, hey, look, that little two-seamer that looks like it's in, it's going to be a strike. We'll try it again. Ooh.
Did he get him?
Yep.
He did. Almost threw it behind him. Got him on the calf.
Second time Dyson's been hit this year. Loads him up. It's a two-seamer that missed.
And it got him good too.
Yeah, it did.
Well, Cetus Escobar, he swung at Burnett's first pitch and singled. Escobar swung at the first pitch of the game in all 4 of the Chicago matchups. So he's done it in 5 straight. And by the way, he hits .375 when he swings at the first pitch. He has been very good with runners in scoring position. And the Royals have the bases loaded with 1 out.
And he's 4 for 6 with them loaded.
Oh man, good cut. Got it in on him just enough. A 1-1.
Chance for the Royals to jump right back on them. We showed you how the Royals and Pirates both score after their opponent does.
No balls, 2 strikes. So a veteran here, 38 years old, who will stay calm in a situation like this. He's been there, done that.
He'd go with another breaker.
Cervelli wants it down, and Escobar fights it off to stay alive.
Yep, I'm sure Cervelli and Burnett know what kind of offense they're throwing to. An aggressive style offense. So with 2 strikes, he's going to try to get him to swing at those pitches out of the zone and down. Fans here trying to get him going.
One and 2. Now Cetus Escobar in his last 15 games is hitting .400. In his last 31 games, he's hitting over .360. So he's the guy the Royals want at the plate. And he lines it. Gung makes a leaping play at short. Down around the end of the bat. 2 down.
Nice job, base runners. Freezing on a liner. Infante was able to get back. Escobar, he tried to guide it in there. Gung showing some hops.
So the Royals had 2nd and 3rd, nobody out, bases loaded, 1 out. And now 2 down to Mike Moustakas, who drove in the Royals run in the first inning. Singling the other way.
Moose is looking for his first base hit with him loaded this year.
Going to set up way inside. And it left it out over the plate. So Burnett got away with 1. The Royals had a golden opportunity to answer the Pirates, and they leave the bases loaded.
I like it. They're in the ballpark. They're ready for action, and they are wrestling fans back from the day.
Toyota League leaders for tonight. Best records in interleague play since the beginning of last year. The Royals have the best record in that department. Clint Hurdle's Pirates have the 4th best record. Royals have won 25 of their last 34 against the National League going back to the end of 2013. Clint Hurdle, his team is 10-5 against the American League this year, and they have not lost to the American League on the road. So another similarity between the two teams, playing well against the other league. Andrew McCutchen saw the nastiest pitch that Yordano Ventura has thrown tonight, when Ventura struck him out looking at a curveball to end the top of the 1st inning. McCutchen was the only Pirate who did not come to the plate in Pittsburgh's 4-run second. We're talking about the similarities between McCutchen and Lorenzo Cain. One big difference, and we know Lorenzo's story, developed late, bloomed late, was not a high round pick of the Brewers. And even Ned Yost will tell you when he was in Milwaukee, they didn't think that Lorenzo would become this. They hoped. McCutchen was the opposite. He was a 1st round pick. They felt like he had MVP potential before he even put a professional uniform on, and they were right. 2 years ago he was the National League MVP.
And you know, that'll just tell you, when he was 5 years old, he knew he wanted to be a big leaguer. He used to watch the Braves. He grew up in Florida, would watch them on TV, and he said, that's what I want to do. So he was focused. He was a good football player in high school, but he knew that he didn't have a lot of size. Baseball was his ticket, and he stayed on his goal, and he had some good mentors. His parents helped him out. He listened to him.
So a couple of guys out of Florida. McCutchen, Marte, and Gung coming up. 3 balls, 2 strikes.
McCutchen is all about bat speed. He rarely gets off balance. He's got a good stance, very quick hands. He generates a lot of bat speed. It's for a guy 5'10", 185 pounds.
Ventura, he snapped at that throw back from Salvador Perez. He is just burning mad. And I think he realizes that he needs to step off and cool himself down.
Well, like yesterday's pitcher Danny Duffy, he's a guy that's got to be able to control his emotions and also stay within himself.
Hard hit, went with a changeup, and McCutchen singles to left field. Three-game series with the Pirates. Tomorrow is our 4th round of T-shirt Tuesday. The first 10,000 fans receive this modern style charcoal gray tee courtesy of Papa John's. The gates are scheduled to open at 5:30. You can get your tickets now at Royals.com/T-shirt Tuesday or call 1-800-6-ROYALS. And if you want to come out, you might want to start working on that right now. We have another big crowd. Weekday series. Very few empty seats, just scanning Kauffman Stadium. Fouled away by Starling Marte. He singled to right in the 2nd inning, getting that 4-run rally started.
McCutchen over there at first base, he'll run, but he's 5 out of 7 in steals. Ventura to get that pitch count back where he wants it. I'd like to roll up a double play.
And the Royals really need Yordano Ventura to work through this. I remember his last start, and It was 11 days ago when he came back from the disabled list against Tampa Bay. He was struggling in the 5th inning. It was right off of Salvi's mask. He was very good in the first 4 innings. And I was doing the game on radio with Denny, and we were having a discussion that, you know, if it was late in the season, the way that he was fighting it in the 5th, Ned Yost probably would have gone to the bullpen. But the Royals need Yordano Ventura to get his confidence back, and Ned just left him out there to get through the 5th inning, which he got through.
Yeah, those are situations where he's got to have some confidence that he can get through.
That is base hit number 7 for the Pirates, and that's just in the last 2 innings. Second hit for Marte, and here come the Pirates again. They have 2 on with nobody out. Well, maybe not tonight.
Well, just finding too much of the plate. His pitches are right there down the middle. That's the whole difference. He's not able to command that fastball. Changeup got hit 3-2 by McCutchen. Didn't have the finish on it.
Changeup down and away, ball 1. Well, if there was ever a time for Chris Medlin as a reliever to make his Royals debut, it would be early in the game tonight. He's been stretched out as a starter, and there he is warming up in the top of the 3rd inning. And now 2-0 on Jung Ho Gung, who singled and scored in the 2nd inning. He's hit in 7 straight. Two and 1. Already their 7th at bat with a runner in scoring position. Two and 2.
Doesn't look like to me he's overthrowing, but he's so free and easy with his motion, it's hard to tell. But you know, we haven't seen him recoil. We haven't seen him throw that leg back and throw his arm back, and sometimes that leaves the ball up in the zone hittable. I just think that he hasn't been able to regain his confidence like he had in that 1st inning where he breezed right through him. It's because they've been hitting.
Jerry Davis has no swing. 3 and 2.
That's borderline.
Bases loaded, nobody out.
Second consecutive inning, Dave Island's had to come out.
And Yordano Ventura has been very receptive to instruction since becoming a big leaguer. We heard a lot about him listening to James Shields and Bruce Chen last year. Edinson Volquez has been a mentor for him this year. And when Dave Island just arrived at the mound, Yordano Ventura's eyes were as big as the moon. Like, what do you have for me? I'm all ears and eyes, ready to take in some information. Help me out. There was no turning his back to the coach or wandering around the mound in frustration. He was making eye contact with Dave Island as soon as Dave Island hit the dirt of the mound.
Dave was probably saying, look, we're going to let you get through this inning here, get through it, you get to stay in the game. Yeah, I got some action up in the bullpen. If you can't get it done, you're going to have an early shower.
And this will be his 60th pitch. So he's on course for 20 pitches per inning. Oh, 2 on Alvarez. He singled, drove in a run, and scored in the 4-run second inning. And that was the big play of the inning for me. That was that ground ball with it was either a shift or Escobar was playing behind second base to keep the runner close, but that looked like a double play ground ball to short, but the Royals were just not in position to turn a double play, and that would have turned that inning around.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Three-pitch strikeout. That's number 4 for Ventura. One down in the 3rd inning.
Okay, so he executed after the visit there with Island. Fooled him. That's a curveball that hung. It was a pitch that was in the middle of the plate, but Alvarez is looking fastball all the way, pulled off of it.
Dave Island with his pitch count clicker in his right hand. Ventura now at 61 pitches. Here's a double play candidate, the catcher Francisco Cervelli, and he fouls it away.
Boy, that is just such free and easy, quick motion. 98. That had some good life to it. Cervelli just barely got the top of that ball because there was so much movement on it.
One and one. McCutchen singled. Marte singled. Gung walked. Bases loaded, nobody out, and then Ventura got a strikeout of Alvarez.
Time to roll him up.
That was the right pitch, but Cervelli wouldn't go for it. 2 balls and 1 strike. Cervelli trying to fill the big shoes of Russell Martin, one of the best National League catchers for many years. Signed with the Blue Jays and was one of the Pirates team leaders.
He's done a solid job so far behind the plate for him.
Ground ball to Hosmer, to the plate, 1 back to first, and Ventura cut it off, not realizing that Hosmer was there, and I guess figuring that he was the cover man, and Cervelli is safe.
Now, heads up by Hosmer, and he put a lot on that throw because he knew that they could double up the catcher. Good throw to Salvi. Salvi had the right throw, but Ventura just got in the way. Don't see that play very often. He was over there, but you know, he just didn't see where Hosmer was playing.
And now Ishikawa pounds it foul. So we'll see how many pitches that costs Ventura. And hopefully it doesn't cost him any runs. Ishikawa capped the 4-run second inning with a double off the wall in the left field corner. Just 2 for 14 since rejoining the Pirates, and he had been 0 for 10. No balls, 2 strikes. Another 3-pitch strikeout. So in the end, it only cost him 3 more pitches. Ventura has struck out 5 in 3 innings. He's given up 4 runs, 7 hits. Pirates had the bases loaded, nobody out, and come up empty. Petty Officer Philip Alvarado. He joined the Navy in 1989, served until '98. Recently, Phil became a co-chapter captain of Team Red, White, and Blue Kansas City, helping keep the group strong and solid through administrative work, many hours of volunteering, and ongoing connections with veterans and the community. Additionally, Phil is also involved in the VFW Lee Summit Post, sitting in the Buck O'Neil legacy seat at tonight's game.
Thank you, Philip, for your service time.
Lorenzo Cain leads off. Outside from A.J. Burnett. Let's go to Joel.
And Ryan, you were talking about the similarities of these two Florida natives. And in the case of Lorenzo Cain, he's older. He's 29. McCutchen's 28. They were both born in 1986. They made their debuts, McCutchen in 2009, Cain in 2010. I talked to Andrew today about Lorenzo, and he says what he remembers about going against Lorenzo when Cain was with the Brewers was a guy that was still trying to figure things out. He was still growing. This one he's going to hit the grounder to the shortstop and will be retired. But he said he was still trying to figure things out. He was learning, and he was trying to get comfortable in the league. You see the numbers now and the comparisons, and Lorenzo this year has been the better defensive player. Lorenzo has more wins above replacement, the higher WAR. Very similar as far as their talents and their contributions to their team. But what McCutchen told me about Cain now is he says he can't help but see what Lorenzo has done over in the American League. Very much caught McCutchen's attention.
And everybody else, for that matter. Thank you, Joel. Eric Hosmer. And before we could give you the history between Eric Hosmer and A.J. Burnett, he reached with what was first ruled as an error by the shortstop Gung and then changed to an infield single.
Playing Hosmer dead pull, 3 guys over on the right side.
The history is our AT&T U-verse rewind 2011. Eric Hosmer, that is his first major league home run against A.J. Burnett at Yankee Stadium with mom, dad, and brother watching. We figured that was a sign of things to come for him. He saved his first big league home run for New York and the Yankees.
Burnett threw a lot harder. Ball stayed straight right over the plate. Got it just right.
Second deck. Mom Eliana. Dad Mike. Brother Mikey. This time Burnett gets Hosmer. That is Burnett's second strikeout. 2 down in the 3rd inning.
Well, Royals had him loaded up on Burnett the last inning, and he was able to get out of it. Now sometimes after that happens, pitcher gains confidence. Says, all right, snuck through that one. Now I got him.
Good movement, a strike to Kendrys Morales. He grounded out to the 3rd baseman Rodriguez in the 1st inning. And that's on the right side of the infield, and Rodriguez has shifted over there again. And a second time. What is normally the second base position, a ground ball handled by the 3rd baseman. 3 up, 3 down for the Royals against Burnett in the bottom of the 3rd. It is a warm but very pleasant night at Kauffman Stadium for July the 20th, especially. 4-1 Pirates lead, and we welcome in Jeff Montgomery. Speaking of July the 20th, July 20th, 1996.
You got me.
Really?
Yeah.
That would be the day that you passed Dan Quisenberry as the Royals all-time saves leader. How about that?
Interesting. Learn something every day.
Now, I don't think this was it. Just some Jeff Montgomery highlights. 239 saves. It was actually at it would have been New Comiskey Park before they changed the name, but 1996 against the White Sox. Did you feel any pressure like before your 300 save? I mean, did you know that there was a milestone on the line that night?
I probably did, but I don't remember, to be honest. I remember the ones I didn't convert more than the ones I did.
Right. Well, we hope that you will accept our 19 years later congratulations.
Well, thank you.
Yordano Ventura struck out 6. He has struck out 3 of the last 4. And the second time he has struck out Sean Rodriguez, 1 down in the 4th inning. 71 pitches, Monty, for Yordano Ventura in 3 innings and 1 batter.
Yeah, it's been a struggle for him tonight. Other than that first inning, he looked really good and sharp in that first inning, but it seems like the last couple innings he's really had to struggle.
Monty, I haven't seen him recoil, and it doesn't look like to me he's overthrowing. I think he's just not commanding his fastball, and it's up in the zone. It's that simple.
Yesterday when you guys had Denny Matthews in the booth and talking about Danny Duffy's outing and how he slowed the game down, it wasn't until Dave Island went out with bases loaded last inning until Danny Duffy was able, until Yordano Ventura was able to really kind of slow things down and get back into his game. And that's the same thing you see with a lot of pitchers who struggle, especially young pitchers. They try to overthrow, they try to do too much, and we saw that with Yordano.
And I guess the famous Charlie Lau hitting line also applies to pitching too, that sometimes you just need to try easier. It sounds like that was been the focus for Danny Duffy since coming back from the disabled list.
Well, it's something that's very difficult to sometimes understand. It's like trying to teach a young pitcher how to throw a third pitch, like a changeup or an off pitch. Sometimes they try to overthrow it. They try to overpower that pitch. You don't trust your stuff enough and yourself enough, and as a result, you get out of your game.
That is a fair ball. Gregory Polanco, he can really run, but Rios gets to it quickly in the corner, so Polanco is at second base with a 1-out double. Now Ventura looked like he was going to give the Pirates a long night or short night, however you want to call it, in the first inning, but then they greeted him with 5 straight hits in the second inning.
Well, it seems like all those pitches found the middle part of the strike zone, not necessarily middle in, middle away, but middle, a lot of those pitches. And when you get in that middle third of the strike zone, you're going to be seeing a lot of damage, and we saw that with those consecutive base hits.
That'll be out of play off the bat of Neil Walker. He is 0 for 2. And then an encouraging thing for Ventura, he got right back into trouble in the 3rd inning. Pirates had the bases loaded, nobody out. I mean, they could have put the game away with a guy like A.J. Burnett on the mound for them, and Ventura got out of it.
And that's the display of the ability that he has. And I think that visit, like I mentioned, that Dave Island made to the mound helped him enormously to allow him to slow things down.
1-1 on Walker.
I think he basically gave him a choice. Look, you can get out of this inning here like you can. You have the stuff to do it. We're going to bring in our new reliever out there.
I thought that Chris Medlin was going to be coming into that game right there. I expected to see Ned Yost going out instead of Dave Island.
Up the middle. Infante backhands and throws out Walker, 2 down, and Polanco goes to 3rd. Well, and you can understand, you know, it's easy for us up here in the booth. It's easy for fans to look at Yordano Ventura and say, come on, man, you don't need to overthrow, you know, good command. But what got Yordano Ventura to the big leagues? I mean, his whole life, when he hasn't been executing pitches prior to becoming a big leaguer, what did he do? Probably just reach back and throw harder, and it worked.
And that's really the most difficult thing to teach at this level is it's great to have that ability to reach back when you need to. As an example, you got a runner on third, nobody out, one out. Reach back at that point to try to get that big strikeout. But for the most part, you want to stay on that. I always try to pitch at 95% through my delivery. In the last, just the very last segment, I was 100%. And you stay within yourself a lot easier that way.
That's into left center field. Well hit. Dyson won't get there. So the Pirates get a 2-out RBI as McCutchen and Polanco have doubles in the 4th inning. And Pittsburgh leads 5-1. That is 57 RBIs for Andrew McCutchen.
And up that mark at 379 with a runner in scoring position. He's been good.
Obviously a special talent. That ball's down and away. McCutchen goes out and actually pulls it into the left center field gap.
We talked about his bat speed, and he just used his wrist there. He just saw that, and he just hooked that on the outer half with some power, caught up underneath it with that bat speed.
Now a strike to Starling Marte. He's 2 for 2 with a run scored, and there's Chris Medlin warming up for a second time. One ball, one strike. Chris Medlin actually has quite a bit of experience as a major leaguer pitching out of the bullpen. He has not been exclusively a starter, so he knows how to warm up when he has 15 or 20 minutes and knows how to warm up when he might have 3 or 4 minutes. Two and one.
That last inning, he had enough time to get good and hot.
If you go back to the 3rd inning with bases loaded, nobody out, when Island made his trip to the mound, I think it would be somewhat unfair to bring a guy in who's just been off his 2nd Tommy John surgery into a bases loaded, no out situation. So great for Giordano to bear down and get out of that inning.
2-2 on Marte. That pitch had some good life to it. 85 pitches for Ventura in 3 2/3 innings. Five of the first 6 hitters in the Pirates batting order are from their system. Polanco, Walker, McCutchen, Marte, and Alvarez. Well, it's been an impressive strikeout night for Ventura. He has 7 in 4 innings, but the Pirates have 5 runs, 9 hits as McCutchen drives in a run with 2 outs in the 4th. Baseball is brought to you by Panera Bread. Avoid the lines. Order online with rapid pickup at delivery.panerabread.com. By Menards. Save big money at Menards on all your home improvement needs. And by Chrysler. Find your summer of performance with great deals at the Chrysler Summer Clearance event. Discussion, I'm sure, between Ned Yost and Dave Island about the top of the 5th inning. Give Ventura another inning. You bring in Chris Medlin or somebody else. Salvador Perez leads off an inning for the 2nd time. He singled in the 2nd. Rodriguez throws him out to begin the bottom of the 4th. That's 6 straight retired by A.J. Burnett, going back to the Royals having the bases loaded with 1 out in the 2nd inning.
You see, Ned, that's the one thing that's different about Ned now than years past. He's getting everybody's information, and he really trusts his coaches, and that's really a good thing. Medlin looks like he's doing a little manicuring there. We don't know whether he's going to come in or not.
Down and away, ball 1. Well, by no means are the Royals cashing in their chips and saying, look, we're 20 games above 500. We have a 6-game lead. We don't need to win tonight. So what I'm about to say does not relate to that at all. But it goes back to Ventura's start on Thursday against Tampa Bay. Do you bring him out and rescue him, or do you leave him in there thinking long term and saying he needs to figure this out? I mean, if the Royals are going to get back to the World Series, they need Yordano Ventura. So are we talking short-term goals for tonight or long-term goals for the rest of the season?
Yeah, that's really a big part of what goes on during the course of the regular season to kind of get to that point, but you have to find out who your guys are and what they're going to do and how they respond.
Also getting input from Salvador Perez. And Fonte thrown out by Gung. He is 1 for 2. 2 down in the 4th inning. Also during this Royals Pirates series, student night, that's on Wednesday, and local music showcase presented by Inc. magazine. Food and drink specials exclusively for students in the outfield experience while listening to live music from local Kansas City bands. And on Wednesday, music from Tall Tales, and you can get those $8 tickets here at the Kauffman Stadium box office or at Royals.com/student night. Alex Rios was a big out for A.J. Burnett back in the 2nd inning. Royals had runners at 2nd and 3rd and nobody out, and Burnett struck out Rios, who now strokes it into the left field corner. So he's at 2nd base with 2 down.
He waited on that breaking ball, and he waited long, and it was on the inner half, and he's able to get up underneath it. Didn't look fooled. Almost like he knew it was coming. Good stroke.
Pirates got a run in the top half of this inning with 2 outs on 2 extra base hits. Let's see if Dyson can get Rios in. Burnett hit Dyson on the left calf. Hit him on the back of his rear leg. And that loaded the bases with 1 out, but Burnett got out of it. He got Escobar on a soft liner to short and Moustakas on a fly out to center field. Out to Walker, who couldn't get the ball out of his glove. It's a base hit for Dyson and puts runners at 1st and 3rd and brings up Alcides Escobar and another run scoring opportunity.
86th infield hit by the Royals. That's including Hosmer's that he got early in the game. Dyson tops it. That's exactly what he wants to do. Walker knew he had just one chance, and that was to pick it cleanly or put it in your pocket.
So Escobar singled and scored the Royals run in the first inning, and then he batted with the bases loaded, 1 out in the second, and hit a soft liner out to the shortstop Gung. He has a chance to drive in a run again here.
Cervelli's a decent catch and throw guy. He's thrown out 22% of runners this year.
Here comes Rios. He will score, and Dyson gets back to first base. Just like they planned, right?
Hey, that's the first time we've seen that this year, but sometimes teams are caught off guard by that, and they weren't exactly ready. Gung is his first game at shortstop this year, and he didn't realize that Rios is putting the pressure on. All he needed to get was an out, and he rushed the throw. So Dyson did his job. He stayed in the rundown long enough. Give Rios a little credit for coming down that third base line and getting a good break and getting the Royals their second run. Caught him off guard.
And now Dyson runs. Escobar will allow him, and that puts another runner in scoring position. Rios, by the way, that goes down as a steal of home. And the Royals' first in 2 seasons. It was Escobar actually 2 years ago against Cleveland, and also part of a double steal. Now Dyson to third, and it's grounded out to short, and that will end the inning. So the Royals given a gift by the Pirates defense to get a run with 2 outs, and now Pittsburgh's lead is 3. Well, as you know, there is no better place to spend your Friday nights than at Kauffman Stadium. You can stock up on dollar hot dogs and peanuts for Buck Night. That's with the Astros here, presented by Visit KC. And then after the game, a fireworks spectacular, courtesy of Hy-Vee and Pepsi. Interesting stretch of games for the Royals. They will play 3 against Pittsburgh, go to St. Louis for 1 game on Thursday, and then come back home and play 3 over the weekend against the Astros. I think the Royals are looking forward to a 3-game matchup with the Astros on their turf. Jung Ho Gung has singled, walked, and scored a run. Got the call at the knees. 2 balls and 1 strike. 90 pitches for Ventura. And Chris Medlin warms up for a 3rd time tonight. And now 3-1. With a lot of discussion going on. We showed you at the end of the top of the 4th inning. Ned Yost talking to Dave Island. They brought in Pedro Grifol, Don Wakamatsu, and then we saw Ned Yost talking to Salvador Perez. And Jung Ho Gung will end up at second base with nobody out. Ned Yost is at the bottom of the steps of the Royals dugout. And so it looks like he's going to go to Chris Medlin.
Gung's impressive. He's got good bat speed. He's got a nice idea about the strike zone. For a young man coming over and going right to the major leagues from the Korean League, I like what I'm seeing.
Yeah, handles the bat very nicely.
Five runs, 10 hits for the Pirates against Yordano Ventura in 4 innings and 1 batter. Chris Medlin, his Royals debut as a Chevy call to the bullpen. Volquez, he's out after 4 innings plus 1 batter. And that means the Royals debut, the American League debut of 29-year-old Chris Medlin, who won 34 games with the Atlanta Braves between 2009 and 2013. He missed all of last year with a second Tommy John surgery. His first Tommy John surgery was 2010. Career ERA of 2.95, under 3.
Brings some nice numbers over in his Royals debut here. A lot of work is going into this first pitch he's going to throw and getting back.
How about that? A first pitch changeup. Oh, a beauty.
That was beautifully located, just like you said, Rhino. And that's his pitch. His best pitch is his changeup. He's got a 2 and 4 seam fastball and a curve. He's not going to overpower anybody. He's got low 90s in him. He might see some 93s. Going strikes right away.
He's got a pitch backwards too. He'll throw that change up like you saw in the first pitch of the count. He might throw a change up in a 3-1 count as well.
Now, we saw him 2 years ago pitching for the Braves, and I was reading up on Chris Medlin, and one of the guys that Chris Medlin was compared to, so this is long before coming to the Royals organization, was Jeff Montgomery. And there were 3 reasons for that, which I'll get to after this pitch. Changeup, like he had never injured his arm. So his 2015 debut begins with a strikeout.
That was an outstanding pitch. Nice finishing changeup on Pedro Alvarez, down and away. Sold it with the arm speed.
Several weeks ago, when he was out here pitching in a simulated game against some of the Royals extra players, the hitters who don't get a lot of chances to play, and I asked Gerard Dyson how he looked. He said we couldn't touch him, and that was before they sent him out on his long rehab. And you know, he has that type of deception. He's not a big guy physically, and I know, Ryan, that's probably one of the points you'll compare Monty with, but he's got, you know, excellent composure and hides the ball well.
Francisco Cervelli with Jung Ho Kang at second base, one out. Man, look at that location with his changeup, 0-2. So item number one, not very big. Sorry, Monty.
Check.
No fear on the mound. At least that's the outer appearance. And will throw any pitch at any time.
Makes him dangerous when you command all three. Ask any hitter. They don't know what they're looking for.
Strike three called. Now Medlin didn't hit the target, but the question is, was that ball still in the strike zone?
Looked like it to me. There's some good life on that two-seamer. That looked like it had a little rising action to it.
Sure did.
Caught the top of the zone. Good call. Good call by home plate umpire Bill Cousy.
So Kang at second base with two down. He had a leadoff double, and now it's Medlin and Travis Ishikawa.
When Medlin got hot there in that third inning, didn't come in the game, he warmed up again. So he had to warm up twice, get hot twice before coming in the game. I was a little maybe surprised that he was doing that, but now thinking back, he was on rehab assignments where he went 7 innings. So as far as the workload, he should be just fine.
And I guess he could have treated those 2 times warming up as if he was pitching an inning.
Exactly.
Right? And then sitting down and getting back up in another inning. And
so he's in the 3rd or 4th inning of the game right now, and it looks like it.
Well, you know how much many members of the Royals organization hold the Atlanta Braves organization in high regard. Many came from the Braves organization. And Chris Medlin was a Bobby Cox favorite. Ed Yost has brought that up on more than one occasion. And that's saying a lot, considering all the great players that played under Bobby Cox. That's hit well to left field. Dyson back, and Ishikawa hits it into the Royals bullpen. Travis Ishikawa was 1 for 13 with the Pirates and 0 for his last 10 when the game began, and he has driven in 4. He had a 2-run double in the 2nd inning and hits a 2-run home run in the 5th, and Pittsburgh leads 7-2.
He stayed inside of that ball well. I mean, the ball was on the outer half, similar to Ventura's, although the velocity was a lot different. 10-mile-an-hour difference in the velocity, but he's hot that way. And the Royals defense, outfield alignment is playing him that way, but man, you can't defend that one.
Oh, you get the ball up, is what's going to happen.
Now ball 1 to Sean Rodriguez.
Changeup's not meant to be up in the zone like that, although it was away, but still Ishikawa with those long arms is able to get him extended.
Mike Moustakas throws out Rodriguez to end the inning. So Medlin strikes out 2, gives up a 2-run home run. Still early, but the Royals are down by 5. runs, 11 hits in 5 innings, and they lead by 5. Remember, you can own a piece of the 2014 postseason as the Royals and Jostens have teamed up to provide the only officially licensed American League Championship fan collection with rings, necklaces, cufflinks, key rings, and more. Royals.com/fanrings.
Don't you just love the signs the kids make? Yes, that's the best. Way to go, young people. Thank you. The players love it.
Fouled away. Mike Moustakas, no balls, 2 strikes. He drove in a run in the first inning. Royals 3 pitches against A.J. Burnett in the first. Had a run on the board. Escobar singled, stole second on the second pitch. Moustakas got him home on the third pitch. And then Burnett got Moustakas to fly to center with the bases loaded in the second.
Royals are seeing 2-seam fastballs, little curveball, and an occasional changeup. But against lefties, he's starting that 2-seamer in off the plate, and it's catching the part of the plate. And to righties the same way. He's doing it on the outside part of the plate as well.
You know, even though Burnett does not have the velocity that he once possessed, he still has great life, especially in that 2-seamer.
Oh, got him on the foot.
Ninth time he's been hit this year.
Looked like that spike curveball. Spike to spike.
Vote for the Royals Player of the Month at rallyhouse.com, and you'll be entered to win a majestic prize pack from Rally House. And that is the American League Player of the Week, Lorenzo Cain. He has popped to short, grounded to short so far against A.J. Burnett. Inside ball 1. Lorenzo Cain, over his last 8 games, his team has won 7. He's had 15 hits, 4 or more doubles, 4 or more home runs, 9 or more RBIs, 9 or more runs scored, 2 or more stolen bases. In baseball history, only Babe Ruth in 1920, Lou Gehrig in 1927, and Derek Jeter in 2004 have had an 8-game span like Cain's.
Pretty impressive and very hot, and he's doing it a lot of different ways. He'll mix in a couple of balls that he misses, little infield hits maybe here or there. He'll go to right field, center field. He's been spraying the ball around, but man, I'll tell you, he's been able to recognize those pitches that are hanging, that are up in the zone, and he's turning on them like a power hitter. I mean, he's going deep and hitting balls down the line, off the wall. Good pitch recognition.
Question number 1, who thought of that? Question number 2, how long did it take to compile all those numbers and figure out that those 3 former Yankees were the only ones who had accomplished that?
I'm not sure how long it took, but I'm glad at least we finally got a Royal in there.
Yeah, exactly.
Cervelli, who was called out on strikes by Phil Cuzzy in the last half inning. He held that one out there extra long, hoping for some payback. Is that you, Holtzy? Did you come up with that? All right. If anyone was going to come up with it, it'd be you. Still 3 balls, 2 strikes to Cain. Cain lost the grip on that last swing and wants to get a little rosin on his gloves to improve his grip.
When Burnett changes speeds on that 2-seamer, he gets more depth out of it. He's changing speeds on that. He'll throw one firm, and then he'll throw one that almost looks like a changeup, but it's got really good life coming into the righty.
Some sinker ball guys can get better life on their sinker than their changeup, and that's what he's doing. He's changing speed. He's almost making it like a third fastball.
Pirates were lined up perfectly. They turned that shot into a double play. Neil Walker, the second baseman, was up the middle. 4-6-3, 2 down.
Right on at 3-2. Burnett wasn't going to give in. He's going to let him put that ball in play, and wouldn't you know it, hit right at Walker, showing his backhand skills. Good soft hands. He was able to stay with it.
Name another sport or another position in athletics where you can actually be more effective when fatigue sets in. But that's the case with a movement type pitcher, right?
Without a doubt.
And I bring that up because A.J. Burnett was working on 8 days rest, so he might have been a little strong, a little more straighter than normal in the first couple of innings. Oh, 0-2 on Hosmer. He had an infield single against Burnett in the first inning, and then Burnett struck him out in the third.
Take a look at Burnett there. Just gets nice and tall, stays on that backside long to allow himself to get on top and get that downward life on the pitch. Stay behind the ball, you have a much better chance.
But you know, he just looks very smooth and easy. Doesn't even look like he's trying to throw hard at all.
.38 years old. Made the All-Star team for the first time in his 17-year career this year. He did not pitch. He has the third best earned run average in baseball, and he says this is it. He's going to retire after this year.
He loves to fish.
Wide open on the left side, and Hosmer has his second hit.
You know, Burnett, he's been blessed as a starting pitcher for a long time, and he's well taken care of financially.
He is, and that's one of the great examples of going out on your own terms, going out on All-Star. Not many guys are able to do that.
Well, there was some talk about him retiring after last year. He went to the Philadelphia Phillies for 1 year. They gave him a lot of money, and he led the league in losses and had the option of going back to the Phillies. It was his option, and we don't normally talk about money during the broadcast, but from what I read, he could have gone back to Philadelphia for $12.5 million. He declined it, went to the Pirates for $4 million fewer than that because he wanted to go out on a winning note. He wanted to go back to the Pirates where he had success prior to going to Philadelphia, and he has. And if he wins tonight, he'll match his win total from all of last year. And we're just in the middle, getting into the later part of July.
When you're fortunate to be in his position, you can do that. You can pick and choose, and he wanted to go with the team chemistry and the fun that the Pirates are having, the energy that they have on their team. He liked it.
Into the right field corner, straighten out. It is gone off the foul pole. Kendrys Morales keeps the Royals within striking distance.
Morales, he unloaded, kept his bottom hand in, and his top hand didn't hook. If he hooks it with his top hand, the ball's going to hook way by the pole, but he's able to use that bottom hand to guide it and to keep that ball straight, and it just hit off the fair pole.
How big is Ishikawa's home run now? This could be a one-run game, but plenty of time left for the Royals, and now Salvador Perez shoots it the other way. Polanco will fade back and make the catch. So the Pirates are trying to run away. The Royals won't go away. And Kendrys Morales and the Royals, 2-out run specialists. And the Royals get 2 with 2 down in the 5th inning.
Talk to it. Keep it fair.
On defense, and they made a statement yesterday, especially Alcides Escobar. He was all over the highlight reels. I asked him to rank his plays from yesterday. He said, okay, this one was number 4. He said, because I've done the 360 a bunch of times. He liked this one. That was the first play at the bottom of the 1st as his 3rd best play. This, he said, number 2 because it was Jeter-like, but his favorite play of the day was this one, the nifty little flip for the double play. Alcides Escobar saying that was definitely one of the best defensive plays or defensive days that he has ever had. Guys, we say it over and over again. He makes one of those every single day. It is not every game where he makes 4 of them. Very proud, and you know he always likes to rank those plays.
Joe, way to highlight him. That backhand right there, he made that look easy, but that he started low like Hosmer with soft hands, and he's able to come up with it and turn that ball into a marshmallow. It's hit about 100 miles an hour off the bat.
Top of the order for the Pirates in the 6th. Polanco, 1 for 3. He doubled and scored in the 4th inning. First full inning for Chris Medlin. He came on with a runner at 2nd and nobody out in the 5th. He struck out Alvarez. He struck out Cervelli. And then Ishikawa hit a 2-run home run. Close, but inside, 3-1.
He's got a nice 2-seamer. Got some good movement on it. Pitching Polanco inside. Setting him up away. Medlin has a nice little rhythm too. He's got good tempo.
Hosmer to the hole. Medlin to the bag. 1 down. DraftKings shows us the players to watch for tonight. Go to DraftKings.com. Enter the promo code VRoyal to play free fantasy baseball daily. Lorenzo Cain on that list. Lorenzo lost a base hit on a good defensive play by the Pirates as far as defensive alignment goes in the 5th inning. And it was Neil Walker who was positioned perfectly up the middle when Cain hit a shot past Burnett with Moustakas at first base and nobody out. And Pirates turn it into a 4-6-3 double play. Walker is 0 for 3 so far tonight.
You see the Angels got rained out last night. San Diego Padres had a little storm come through the south there. He said that that's the first time since '95 that the Angels have had a rain out, and I remember that. I was on that team, and it was they never moved the tarp there because there's no rain. So when they moved the tarp out to get it on the field, all kinds of critters came running out of that tarp. Possums, rats, oh, you name it. And we
generations of them, right?
Yeah, we went scattering. We took off out of the dugout. I'll never forget that. And we laughed that one off.
Third strikeout for Medlin. That time he got Walker with a breaking ball.
I'm not surprised at Medlin and how smooth he is, and and how he executes his pitches, that curveball, changeup, and fastball. He's a proven guy. He's pitching like it right now. I mean, maybe he can hold him right there, and his team can come back and get him a W. Wouldn't that be special?
Fouled away by McCutchen, who has 2 hits and an RBI. Chris Medlin had an historical run starting for the Braves between 2010 and 2012. He went 23 consecutive starts, which his team won. How about that for a good luck charm? There was a major league record, 23 consecutive starts where either he and or the Braves won.
It's proven.
Still 0-2 on McCutchen.
Yeah, that curveball there was down in a good place. The last time Ventura threw him a curveball, watch his bat speed. Look at how he just stuck that. His hands, his wrist. He just waited. It was away, but he was able to hook it because he got his hand out there, his hands. But he waited until the last minute and showed some tremendous bat speed on a curveball that not many guys can hit that way.
Struck him out. So Chris Medlin has gone 2 innings and he has struck out 4. Royals down by 3. Chris Medlin has pitched 2 innings. He has struck out 4. He has given up a 2-run home run to Travis Ishikawa, but his stuff is there. Royals trying to pick him and Yordano Ventura up. Down 7-4 as they bat in the bottom of the 6th inning. And our Sonic Slam contestant is Sherry Moore from Independence, Missouri. We had a winner yesterday in Chicago, so if the Royals hit a home run in this inning, Sherry wins $100. If the Royals hit a grand slam out of the park, the Royals will take the lead, and Sherry will win $25 grand from Sonic and the Kansas City Royals. And it's 2-0 from A.J. Burnett to Omar Infante. He is doubled and grounded out to short. Infante, Rios, Dyson coming up. And now 3-0.
Infante, he's not easy to walk. He got 6. He's a swinger. Hacker.
He thought he had number 7. 3 balls and 2 strikes.
Two-seamer. Burnett lives on the outer half against righties. And he's no different tonight. It's where he likes to pitch that ball. And with a two-seamer, righties lay off of it. It's like that, and it comes back, catches the corner.
There's number 7. Only 76 pitches for A.J. Burnett. That is his first walk. He has hit 2 batters. The inning that really sticks out for the Royals, and it was the most important inning for Burnett, was the second inning. Royals had runners at second and third and nobody out, and then the bases loaded with 1 out and did not score. And one of the biggest outs in that inning was a strikeout against Rios. That was right after the Pirates scored 4 in the second inning, so that would have been a good bounce back inning for the Royals, but Burnett buckled down and got out of it. Don't forget, young man, you can follow live Royals baseball with MLB.com @bat on your smartphone or tablet if mom allows you. Stay connected wherever you are with the MLB.tv game of the day. In-game highlights, live look-ins, replay reviews, radio broadcasts, and more. It's the #1 app for live baseball. Out to right field. Polanco is there, and he'll make the play. He heaves it all the way back to first base. That ended up being pretty close.
Pretty good drive to the opposite field by Rios. Infante's able to get back with no problem.
And now Gerard Dyson with 1 on 1 out. Over the mound. No double play. They get the force on Infante, 2 down.
Walker showing some good range defensively for the Pirates tonight. That second hop sometimes has all that top spin on it, and he was able to get it before it snuck through. Making sure of the out. Gung, he knew he couldn't double up Dyson.
See if Dyson tries to get into scoring position for Escobar. The Royals have stolen 3 bases tonight, and the Pirates have allowed 81 stolen bases this year. That's the most in the major leagues. Escobar has a stolen base. Rios has a stolen base. That was a steal of home in the 4th inning, and Dyson has a stolen base. Burnett, even though he won't be credited with it, he picked off Dyson in the 4th inning, but Dyson got into a rundown. Rios was at third, and he scored. But I don't think it was a planned play. Dyson was thinking about stealing second, and Burnett caught him. The Royals turn it into a run. And now that's a balk. And maybe that might be an explanation for what happened to Dyson back in the 4th inning.
Oh.
Jerry Davis, a veteran umpire of over 30 years, is showing a lot of restraint. By the rules, at least, you are not allowed to argue balls and strikes or balks. And if that's not arguing a balk, then I don't know what is.
Yeah, you know, and the rest of his teammates hustled over to get in between him. But, you know, there's 2 outs. And for a veteran to lose it like that must be something further between him and Jerry Davis, because they've both been around the league a long time.
Clint Hurdle almost had to make an emergency move to his bullpen with 2 outs in the 6th inning. There's nobody warming up, and now let's see.
He was moving
his front foot first.
Yeah, his left foot was moving. It was moving towards home, and then he stopped it and went to first base. Jerry Davis made the right call.
Ray Sears is the Pirates pitching coach.
Watch his front foot here.
Yep, that front, the first movement cannot be the front leg bending. And that, if you're a base runner, if you're Dyson, you're looking at his front foot, because if he picks up his front foot, he's going to the plate. So if that's the first movement, Dyson's going to be thinking about second base. Who knows? Maybe that's the reason Dyson was picked off, and maybe Rusty Kuntz brought that to Jerry Davis's attention.
It's very possible, and you're exactly right. It's what the runners are looking for. The key off of his foot, lead foot.
Strike called, and it's 0-2 on Escobar. Royals hope to continue to chip away. A base hit here could make it a 2-run game. They have already scored 4 runs off the pitcher with the 3rd best ERA in baseball. Dyson goes to 3rd. He'll get a stolen base. He was running on the pitch. 2 for Dyson, 4 for the Royals tonight.
Pick the right pitch, that breaking ball. Burnett has 4 wild pitches this season. Might be looking for another one here. Anything in the dirt.
That ball come up and get Cervelli.
Like he got his chest protector.
Oh, sure acting like he was hurting after that pitch.
Yeah.
Well, this was the knock on a younger A.J. Burnett. He would let his emotions get the best of him, and innings would get away from him. Still 1-2 on Escobar. So the fire is still there. It just doesn't rear its ugly head or become as hot as often as Burnett used to be.
Escobar keeps looking on that outer half out there. He might get a base hit to right field here. That's where he's going to stay, right out there in that corner.
Grounded out to first. Ishikawa will go to the bag, and the Royals are scoreless in the bottom of the 6th. Dyson is stranded at 3rd. We go to the 7th. Still 7-4 Pittsburgh. Royals baseball is brought to you by AT U-verse high-speed internet. The U-verse revolves around you. Call 1-800-PIC-ATT. By your Midwest Ford dealers. Visit your MidwestFordDealers.com. And by Academy Sports and Outdoors. Right stuff, low price every day. Kauffman Stadium packed tonight for the first of 3 with the Pirates. Chris Medlin is making his Royals debut. He has pitched 2 innings. He has given up 1 hit. That hit happened to be a 2-run home run. And he has struck out 4. It appears all of his pitches are working. Even the home run that he gave up to Ishikawa wasn't down like he wanted it to be, but it was out of the strike zone. You have to give Ishikawa credit more than criticize Medlin. Middle of the order here, beginning with Starling Marte, their number 4 hitter. He's 2 for 3 with a run scored.
And same goes for the double that he cleared the bases off of against Ventura. Ball was in a similar spot, up and away, and he went with it. Ishikawa's having a night.
Royals scored first for a 3rd consecutive game. The Royals got a run in the 1st inning, and then the Pirates got 4 in the 2nd. Both teams scored 1 in the 4th. Both teams scored 2 in the 5th. Up the middle and into center field. Marte has his 3rd hit, and the 2nd hit for him leading off an inning. And the Pirates now have 12 hits tonight. He's got a quick bat.
Very quick. Bat speed, great arm, running speed. I mentioned earlier he's the guy that probably has the most tools on the team. Exceptionally gifted. Got 17 steals.
Strike 2. Jung Ho Gung, who has 2 hits and 2 runs scored. He's also been on with a walk. Chris Medlin has a good move. He has very quick feet. He didn't show Marte his best move with that first throw over there. And Marte doesn't have a big lead. No balls, 2 strikes.
Better be careful with this guy. Anything up like that, that's a beautifully compacted swing there. That was going to the opposite field, so he obviously has the ability to spray that ball around. But the reason the Pirates were so excited about him was his power. They liked his raw power, and they believed that he would be able to translate his game from over there to the big leagues right away, and so far he's doing it. There's that move you're talking about. Good quick feet. This is Medlin is a ground ball type pitcher, though, with that 2-seam fastball down there. He'd like to roll one up.
Runner goes, and the pitch is in the dirt. And fortunately for the Royals, Marte put his head down and ran to second base, so he never saw the ball get away from Salvador Perez. Otherwise, he may have taken a shot at going to third.
Look at that. And he's very quick. Full speed in 2 steps.
It's the Pirates' first stolen base tonight. The Royals have 4.
Gung, a .333 hitter with a runner out there at second and beyond.
Left center field. Marte back to tag. And he'll head to third. That's your number 4 hitter. 13 home runs, 50 RBIs, and can run like the wind. Starling Marte.
Gung got that ball up. Was able to move him over. Wanted to on the ground, but he did it with a nice fly ball. Good read by Marte.
Royals down by 3, and we're in the 7th inning, so they have to bring the infield in. And a block by Sal.
You know, and Salvi looks like he's having a little difficulty with Medlin's curveball, and probably because it's the first time he's caught him in game situations here before, so he's getting used to the break on his curve and trying to just do what he did there, keep the ball in front of him.
And a key point there, Hud, is in a game situation, maybe he's caught him in the bullpen, but pitchers aren't usually burying pitches in the dirt when they're throwing in the bullpen.
No, and there's no hitter standing in there either.
High chop, and the Royals will let it roll. No! Hosmer grabbed it, and the out is recorded at first.
Medlin is telling Haas now, we could have let that ball roll foul. My bad. That's okay. Haas knows that. Just a little bit quick with the glove. They were able to score the run. Too bad. Sometimes, you know, you get caught up in the speed of the game. And, you know, Medlin with that right there. Now, right there, Medlin should have been yelling at him. Let it go, let it go, let it go. But, you know, those are just some of the things that happen. It's a reaction.
Cervelli out to short. Escobar throws him out. So the leadoff single, the stolen base. Marte goes to third on the flyout and scores on the ground out.
Play continues here at Kauffman Stadium. Panera takes us around the league at some other American and interleague scores as Boston getting crushed by Los Angeles. Detroit beat Seattle. Chicago and Cincinnati. Reds won better than the Cubs, and some interleague play. Colorado leading Texas 7-5. Our mods, the game break takes us to Detroit. Ian Kinsler homered in the first, and then in the 8th inning with his team down 4-3. Another home run, much needed win for the struggling Tigers, who go back to 46-46 on the season. A lot of talk about them possibly trading, being sellers at the deadline. Hard to imagine that. AJ Burnett back on the hill when this one is over. We'll break it all down with Jeff Montgomery on Boulevard Royals Live. Reaction from the clubhouse, analysis, and much more.
All right, Joel, and by the way, that puts Seattle in last place in the West now. 9 games below 500, 10 games out. And they were a trendy pick to finish on top of that division.
Yep, same problem that the White Sox are having. No offense.
Royals are beginning their 4th time against A.J. Burnett. Mike Moustakas drove in the run back in the first inning. He's also been hit by a pitch. 0-2 against A.J. Burnett, who has struck out 2, by the way.
Yeah, but just like I figured. Remember Royals had the bases loaded in the second inning. They had them loaded up, you know, and they had a chance, and they couldn't get anything. And usually, when that happens, the veteran pitcher settles down and he gets back into his game, and that's exactly what's happened here. That's why it's so important when you have opportunities like that against any pitcher, but especially a veteran guy, that you go ahead and do the best you can to try to get those runs in, and they just weren't able to do it.
Two and 2 on Moustakas. 7 years ago, A.J. Burnett led the American League in strikeouts, 231. Well hit to right field. It is 8-5 as Mike Moustakas hammers his 9th home run of the year.
Just a 3rd home run he's given up to a left-handed bat this year, and Moose, boy, that felt good. I can tell you that. That ball was flying. It was not walking, folks. He was able to drop the head of that bat right on it, and that ball left in about 3 seconds. Moose, nice little rock back, small step forward, good head, bowing to the ball right there. Like that action, got it out in front, and he just laid out a liner.
And it's also only the 5th home run that Burnett has given up all year in 125 innings. And Moustakas has driven in 2 tonight. That gets him back over 300 again with a 2-hit game.
Well, I counted 3 seconds and that ball left.
That ties A.J. Burnett, a season high for him in runs scored. Ishikawa comes up short on the slide, and it's just the 2nd time that he's allowed that many earned runs in a game. Remember this year, his ERA was 2.11 when the game started, and the Royals were feeling pretty good. You get 5 runs, 10 hits against A.J. Burnett in 7 innings. But the Pirates have had a big night on offense. They have 8 runs on 12 hits.
Yeah, but you know, the Royals, they do most of their run scoring at this time of the game. They really pressure bullpens and get what's left.
Base hit left field.
Of the starting pitcher. Nice job. Keep the line moving. Here we go. We're going to see some more frenzy hitting out of the Royals. We'll see. Clint Hurdle is going to have to keep an eye on his veteran ace, but that's in the middle of the plate. Breaking ball. Kane waited on it, spanked it right through. Pressuring defenses, pressuring pitching by putting the ball in play.
Streak for Lorenzo Cain. And Clint Hurdle is going to come out and make a pitching change. That gives us time to remind you about the Royals Memories program. You can choose amongst a variety of on-the-field opportunities, such as playing catch in the outfield, taking in summer fireworks on the field, and many more. All experiences are available for purchase each game exclusively through the MLB.com ballpark app. So Clint Hurdle will bring in a left-hand pitcher for Eric Hosmer, Antonio Bastardo, with Kane at first and nobody out. In either league, 2.11, 7-3 record, and the Royals nail him for 5 runs. He's still responsible for Kane at first base. And now Clint Hurdle goes into his bullpen, which is one of the best in the National League. And this is Antonio Bastardo, who may only face Eric Hosmer.
Yeah, Bastardo, he's not an overpowering guy, and as a lot of those situational lefties, they're not overpowering. 88 to 93 is going to cut the fastball, but he's going to sweep that big breaking ball. Uh-oh, maybe we have something going on here. I see the athletic trainer coming out.
Did Bastardo injure himself while he was warming up?
Not so sure. Hurdle didn't even go to the mound. Cervelli, maybe it's Cervelli. I saw Cervelli barely running it down the first base line at all. Now, I don't know what happened, but it's thankfully. Oh man, they're going to take him out. So there's something going on with him.
Well, remember a couple of innings ago there was a pitch in the dirt, and I said, did he get hurt on that pitch? And we looked at it and it seemed harmless, but he's just been kind of lethargic the last 2 innings.
I'm just thinking it could be lower body, maybe somewhere in his lower half, but we'll just have to wait and see what happens. But he knows he just made a signal right there, and no wonder Hurdle was watching him. He went right there.
So it's Chris Stewart, and he'll play catch with third baseman Sean Rodriguez to get loosened up. The fans giving him a hard time, or Rodriguez a hard time, for throwing it away. Eric Hosmer has 1 at-bat in the past against Bastardo, 0 for 1.
Chris Stewart, he's a well-traveled catcher, veteran backup, 33 years young.
Mike Moustakas is homered. Lorenzo Cain is singled. Nobody out. Royals down by 3 in the 7th inning. Inside, ball 1.
Lots of times those lefties, they'll go fastball first pitch and then they'll sweep them away. They try to get that fastball in there for a strike, but didn't work.
field into right field. Kane will be waved home. Hosmer's chugging for third. It is a 2-run game. I thought he hit that ball hard against Sale yesterday in the first inning. He may have hit this ball harder.
He was protecting inside, thinking that in the back of his mind he could sweep that slider, but that sped his bat up anyway. He's looking for anything in, and he turned on it. Ball carried him nicely. Right by Polanco. Allowed Hosmer to get his third triple of the season. Timely, and here comes the crowd. 39,000, over 39. Excuse me, 38, close to 39.
So Bastardo will stay on and make Morales bat right-handed. Kendry, man, what a swing he had. He has not faced Bastardo, at least not in a major league game. Wow.
This was a rip. And Bastardo coming in there showing some 94. He put a little extra on that one. Said he wasn't overpowering, but you know, if you throw 94, that's a good major league fastball.
Hosmer comes down from third. RBI Morales, and the Royals are down by 1. Kendrys Morales has driven in 3 tonight and 65 on the year. And that leads the American League.
Well, Hurdle, he didn't have his right-hander ready to come in to face Morales. I didn't think that Hurdle was expecting Hosmer to be able to bust that triple on Bastardo, so he didn't have his righty ready to face Morales. However, I think he wanted maybe Morales to hit from the right side.
Whoa! Somebody has just run on the field in a Pirates uniform. Oh no, that's their new pitcher. That is Jared Hughes. You couldn't wait to get into the game.
I love it.
I thought security was going to run on the field and tackle him.
Well, some relievers like to sprint out there. Get that blood pressure working up.
Strike to Salvador Perez, 1 for 3.
Jared Hughes is a sinker ball pitcher, wants to get the guys to hit the top of the ball. Sinker ball.
Ground ball, base hit left field. Tying run is on with 1 out. It's only the 7th inning, but it has the feel of the 9th inning. All this started with a Mike Moustakas home run.
Oh, no, I'm telling you, that ball there, you could have put a week's worth of Goldberg's laundry on that. Hosmer, same thing. Put 2 weeks on it. That ball was flying. It hit, carved off the wall. Morales, hey, playing infield back, pick up the ribby. Here we are, and Salvi's keeping the line moving. Frenzy style hitting, breaking out here at the K.
Ground ball, and right at the shortstop gun, and the Pirates turn it into a double play, but the Royals are right back in it. A 3-run bottom of the 7th inning, and we head to the 8th. Chris Medlin back to the mound. The Royals are down by 1. Two of the Royals' 7 runs, and a wild one tonight at Kauffman Stadium. Travis Ishikawa will lead off the top of the 8th inning. He has our Jeep drives of the game.
Ishikawa, colder than cold before he got here. All of a sudden, he wakes up here. The last time he was in this place, he had a Giant uniform on. So he continues again, sneaks it over the outfield wall. The only hit that Medlin's given up to that point. Struck out some guys. Medlin's looking good. And if he can just keep holding them here, the Royals score their runs late. They're back in the game.
This is Medlin's 4th inning, his 3rd full inning. Ishikawa was 1 for 13 with the Pirates when the game started, and now he's the 3rd opponent to drive in 4 against the Royals this year. Look out. Chris Medlin concerned. Travis Ishikawa is concerned.
All right, he's all right.
Oh, man. Salvador Perez is concerned. Eric Hosmer's concerned. I mean, that.
Looked like got him off the arm. He brought his glove, but man, I'll tell you, he's not trained like Moustakas over there in the hot corner.
I don't know if Escobar could make that play.
Yeah, that ball was screaming in there, and he couldn't quite get his glove up, but he's going to be all right. I'm okay, Dad.
Pulled foul again. Jason Kipnis and Mark Teixeira are the other two who have driven in 4 runs against the Royals this year.
Amazing what a couple of big hits can do for a hitter's confidence. He's back.
And that ball's hit well. Travis Ishikawa has 3 hits, all for extra bases. The last time he was here, he was celebrating on the field and drinking champagne. Maybe that put him in the right mindset when he got off the bus before the game tonight.
Well, he found himself in that lineup, and he knows that they're reeling after losing their shortstop, and now Cervelli leaving this game here, adding a big lift with his bat tonight. Lead-off double, and that's when Medlin had him down in the count 0-2, and he fouled off some pitches, and he just looked like a different hitter.
Sean Rodriguez, number 9 hitter and third baseman, 0 for 3 tonight. One of those at bats against Medlin, and he grounded out to third against Medlin in the 5th.
Look for Rodriguez to do the little thing, just try to get him over anyway.
Bunts it foul.
Caught his own bunt.
Looks like he got caught in between there, between bunting for a base hit and putting down a sacrifice.
He knows he's a veteran guy, and he's a utility player, and utility players, they're trained to do the little things a little bit more than the meat of the order.
And bunts that foul. Just got word that Clint Hurdle removed Francisco Cervelli in the bottom of the 7th inning as starting catcher with discomfort in his right wrist.
So now Medlin going to work on giving Rodriguez a hat trick here.
He's going to bunt, and he gets that one down. A play at third base. Got him. Did I mention that Medlin is also a very good fielder?
He bounced like a cat on that. Rodriguez, he's not worried about squaring around 0-2 because he's going to get the ball. He knows he's not facing a guy that's going to blow him away, so he puts it down. But Medlin jumped and fired. He knew Ishikawa can't run that well, so it was a heads-up play by a veteran player. Moose straddle that bag, put the tag on him, got him an out. Big out too. Medlin helping himself.
Medlin was drafted by the Braves out of Santa Ana Junior College in California. Not only a pitcher, but also a shortstop. Good athlete. He's also a switch hitter. So instead of a runner at third and 1 out, it's a runner at first with 1 out. And Gregory Polanco will hit for the 5th time. Outside, ball 1.
This guy, he reminds me of Vladimir Guerrero with how long his legs are. Long legs, powerfully built in the lower half. Just missed the changeup there. Vladimir Guerrero's son got drafted by the Blue Jays this year, so we'll see another Vladdy before long. Very similar to his dad.
There's that good move over to first base. Polanco has 17 stolen bases this year. He's been thrown out 7 times. Although that's Rodriguez over at first.
Okay.
Just in case you're wondering if Polanco gets on.
That's okay. He's got.
Rodriguez has 2,
Yeah.
so a little different from 17.
But Medlin doing a nice job of keeping him close for Salvi.
And now 3 balls, no strikes. Well, Coach Shaver is ready to go in the Royals bullpen. High strike, 3-1. Polanco with good speed, and if you're wondering about a ground ball double play, he has rolled into 2. Full count. Rodriguez made a move to second base. That's why Salvador Perez came jumping out of his crouch.
He might be moving here on a 3-2 pitch with 1 out. Excellent spot with a changeup. Medlin getting back into the count. Might throw it again. Why not? If you have that kind of command with a pitch, try it again.
Running and hit out into shallow left field. Dyson coming up and kept it in front of him. And a gamble by Rodriguez, or an excellent read, and he goes first to third.
So he stayed with a changeup, and it was another good spot, but really a very nice piece of hitting there by Polanco. He's able to stay with it. Dyson almost caught it, but kept it in front of him. Pirates playing hard.
And a nice ovation from the sellout crowd here tonight as Chris Medlin appears for the first time since 2013 and gives the Royals and the fans some hope for the next 2.5 months. Well, Chris Medlin has pitched in many big league games, and I imagine not many more important than this one, coming back from a second Tommy John surgery. And while it won't be a pretty line score, there was a lot tonight. He showed the Royals a lot as far as the quality of his stuff.
I totally agree. And how about that metal in his blood, like that Medlin showed there? I mean, making that play at third base to get tag play on the bunt. He did show a lot.
Base hit right field for Neil Walker. That is a huge hit for the Pirates. Chance for a play at the plate. Neil Walker drives in 2. And a 1-run game becomes a 3-run game.
Well, there's a guy in Walker who's looking for the first pitch fastball, and he got it. It laid out over the middle, right down the middle, and that ball was smoked. He hits it right at Haas. That's a double play, and they're out of the inning. Just over his head. Walker's able to come all the way down to third base. Infield's got to play in. They can't afford to give him any more runs now.
Andrew McCutchen. He goes after the first pitch. Oh, and 2 on McCutchen. The runs are charged to Medlin. Walker is the responsibility of Hochevar, and Hochevar been on quite a run coming into tonight. 10 consecutive shutout innings. 2 down on the strikeout to McCutchen. Told you earlier in the game that these are 2 of the best in the major leagues responding when the opponent scores, and we've seen that all over the place again tonight. Only the Rockies, and not to demean Colorado in any way, but you know how runs can be scored in that ballpark, and Colorado is a last place team in the National League West. But as far as contending team goes, these are the 2 best as far as bouncing right back after the opponent scores.
Yeah, it's been an exciting ball game. There's no doubt about it. But Pittsburgh, they're coming in after getting swept in Milwaukee with their fangs out. They're saying, look, we're going to battle you. We know all about the Royals. This is an excellent first game here. A lot of offense going. Kind of feeling it could be a high scoring game the way they were swinging the bats early.
Escobar charges. Marte can run. Close, but out. Inning over. Neil Walker extends his hitting streak to 10 games with a big 2-run triple. Pittsburgh is back out to a 3-run lead.
we keep learning more about the collision rule. This is Jeff Francoeur, the former Royal, colliding with Curt Casali, who holds onto the ball. Tampa Bay Rays catcher. They rule him out. The Phillies challenged this one, and the call was confirmed. Certainly looked like he was blocking the plate. And guys, you know, we get those detailed emails. Now here's the email that came out after, and maybe we'll learn a little bit about this if we have this incident in the future. That they said it was confirmed because, one, the throw from an infielder quickly reached home plate, giving the catcher little time to react and move out of the baseline. 2, the runner clearly was out before the ball reached home plate. And 3, I've never quite seen this one yet, the runner had to slide in order for a violation of the collision rule to be considered. Therefore, when Francoeur decided to collide with Casali, he eliminated any violation of the rule. So they're saying that had he slid, then they might have considered that. It didn't happen. So a lot of elements going on there. We'll see if we ever get one of those here in a Royals game.
Boy, that's interesting. You know, he could slide and break his ankle, right? Or twist his ankle or sprain his ankle.
Oh, sure.
And then, okay, then we'll review it. Rios grounds out to Walker.
Well, it's interesting. We were in Chicago. I had a visit with the umpires, and I asked them, if the catcher's in the way, can you still run him over? They said yes. So you know, there's still a lot to be decided about this.
So I think what Joel's saying, though, right, Joel, you're saying the collision's okay. Jeff Francoeur didn't do anything wrong, but the Phillies were challenging Casali blocking the plate, right?
Correct.
So there was nothing wrong with Francoeur bowling over the catcher, but the Phillies wondered if he prematurely blocked the plate.
Correct. And so first and foremost, beyond the collision and all of that, is that they're saying that quick throw home took him there, that the catcher couldn't control that. It happened too quickly. That makes sense, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
I'm good with that.
He can't try to run out of the way of the throw, so that actually is logical.
So I guess the slide part would be that he could have tried to slide to the outside and reach with his hand, or
right. Which
if he slides feet first right in the catcher, I mean, he can hurt. Runner get hurt doing that.
Plus, as quickly as the catcher needs to make that decision or goes there with the ball, how quickly are you expecting Jeff Francoeur to change what he's doing?
Right. You can't go head first when it's that close and the catcher has the ball that far ahead. He could just sit on your shoulder and bust your shoulder. That'd be way dangerous to go head first. I mean, to slide like that. I mean, but for Frenchie, what he did, that's what a lot of guys would do when he sees the plate being blocked.
Right.
And I think that you can do that, but.
No, you can do that. Everything's legal. Everything's legal. Jeff Francoeur didn't do anything wrong.
And what
Joel, it was the Phillies asking if Casali prematurely blocked the plate, right?
Correct.
No one's saying Jeff Francoeur did anything wrong.
Right. And I want to get back to what HUD was saying and what you heard the other day from the umpires. That's something that I was hearing a lot last year, was a lot of umpires saying to me, base runners are just assuming they can't bowl over the catcher. If he's blocking that plate, they can certainly do that and have the right to do that. And what they were noticing last year was a lot of players shying away from that.
Well, what they don't want is what happened to Buster Posey a few years ago, when the catcher is near the plate but not blocking the plate, and you still take him out.
Yeah, good job, Frenchie. Way to get a piece of him and try to score the run.
Well, and the other logical part of that ruling there too is that the throw did beat him.
Dyson down on strikes. So here's the one that started a lot of this, Buster Posey. Now from that angle, it looks like he's blocking the plate, but the runner clearly was not going to home plate. Scott Cousins. That's not trying to score a run. That's trying to injure the catcher. I mean, you're going shoulder on his neck. And I don't care what kind of tough guy Paul Bunyan, former catcher out there, oh, that's just part of the game, man. Well, Buster Posey broke his ankle on a play where he shouldn't have broken his ankle. And that's why they put the rule into place. This is Tony Watson pitching for the Pirates, former Nebraska Cornhusker and teammate of Alex Gordon, Jabba Chamberlain, and Brian Dunsing.
He's their setup man. 6'4", 225. Good straight fastball, 92 to 95. He tries to sink it at times, slider, and a changeup to righties.
tough guy to hang in on if you're a left-hand batter, huh? From that angle at 95.
Yep, he's firm.
Three and one to Escobar. Three and two. It's already been a 3-hour game. And man, this has been like 3 games in one.
You never know what you're going to see.
Yeah. Talk about breaking the seal on a series. There's Escobar into right field for his second hit. And now we'll see how Mike Moustakas, a left-hand batter, hangs in there against Tony Watson.
Well, Watson looked like he's throwing mainly fastballs. Didn't even see a breaking ball. He came right in there firing. But a nice swing by Escobar. Knew a fastball was coming, went right with it.
Moustakas entered the game at 297. He's now back up over 300. Broken bat in half, and Ishikawa will run out of room. And that's all that's left of Mike Moustakas' bat. Mike Moustakas, our sprint cut of the game, leading off the bottom of the 7th.
This is the 3rd home run to a lefty, given up by Burnett. Oh, that felt good for Moose.
Hello. 1 ball, 1 strike.
He's trying to take his lumber again.
One and 2. Moustakas singled in a run in the 1st inning, hit by a pitch in the 5th, homered in the 7th.
It's like Watson just trying to bury that heater inside and come back in there again. Ooh, got him.
Nicked his jersey. And that brings a tying run to the plate.
Little sidearm action, ran a little bit too far in, and Moose, oh, he's like any other hitter. When you get hit like that and it undresses you, that's a beautiful thing. He won't have a bruise.
I remember Lorenzo Cain facing a hard throwing lefty yesterday in Chicago.
I remember. So does Lorenzo Cain. But maybe Watson wasn't watching.
Oh, man, he just missed it. Wow. Just missed it. He got the pitch he wanted, maybe the location he wanted, the swing he wanted, and just missed it.
I've selected the Data Strong fan photo of the game. Tweet your strongest fan photo to hashtag KC Data Strong for a chance to be featured in an upcoming broadcast. Brought to you by T-Mobile. There you go, ladies. Thanks for coming and sending in your picture. That is Data Strong, believe it. Hochevar coming out to hold him down. Man, I'm going to tell you what, that's a quarter of an inch. He gets a little higher on that ball. It's a tie game. That's the way baseball can be sometimes. Gung stepping in. He's been swinging a good bat. Likes that ball out over the middle of the plate. He's been pulling it. He's been going to the opposite field. He's got a couple knocks. Telling you, this guy right here, the league doesn't know him in the National League, and certainly not too many guys in the American League know him. And so he's just going up there and feasting on anything out over the plate. Like how he holds his hands, he turns that. Ooh, I don't know if he's seen too many yellow hammers like that one. But that's a Korean, Japanese style hitter right there. You could tell by the way he hangs his leg up there. It's a timing device. And he didn't do it there. He just gave a little toe tap. Hochevar, the break on his curveball so far has been really good, especially the last 3 outings. He's starting to get that rhythm, and that's an overhand yellow hammer curve, they call it. Good fastball. He'll cut his fastball. Beat him inside.
One down in the top of the 9th inning. Get the feeling that the Royals were really looking forward to playing the Pirates in a respectful way. They know that the Pirates are a very similar story, very similar team, and the Pirates feeling the same way. Two similar teams, two similar, somewhat recent histories. Now, of course, here in Kansas City, we are well aware of what the Royals accomplished last year. 29 years between trips to the playoffs. The Pirates went 20 consecutive losing years. So both records, 29 straight years without going to the playoffs. That's a record. And 20 consecutive losing seasons is a North American professional sports record. And Clint Hurdle got the Pirates not only above 500 but to the playoffs the last 2 years. Alvarez singles to center field with 1 out, and a lot of players on the field right now wearing the only uniform they've ever worn in professional baseball. And it's been a heck of a game. I'm sure you expected 10-7 in the 9th inning with Ventura and Burnett on the mound tonight.
No, but you know, you could just tell the way they were swinging the bat, both teams early in this game, and the way the Pirates came back after Ventura's 10-pitch first inning was just marvelous. His stuff looked great in the next inning. Wow, they dropped a 4 spot on him in a heartbeat. 5 consecutive hits.
$16 hits for the Pirates. That's tied for the most allowed by the Royals this year. Chris Stewart hits for the first time. Came on for Francisco Cervelli, who left with soreness in his right wrist. Two 2-0. Mark Melanson is the Pirate closer. 29 saves. And the Royals in the bottom of the 9th inning will have Hosmer, Morales, and Perez. .95 for a strike, 2-1. Three balls, one strike. Escobar can't quite get to it. Stewart has a base hit. Alvarez goes to second. So 17 hits. That's the most hits allowed by the Royals this year.
Short, compact swing. Try to hit it right back up the middle. Escobar not happy. He thought he should have got that. Just couldn't get his glove down in time.
And now Travis Ishikawa. Three hits, all extra base hits, and 4 driven in. Hit a 2-run home run to the opposite field in the 5th inning. He hit a 2-run double to the opposite field in the 2nd inning, and then he pulled a double to right center in the 8th. Almost got him on the foot. 1 ball, 1 strike. His career high is 5 RBIs. Two and one. Strike zone's gotten a little tight.
Seems like it has. It seemed like hopefully the umpire was calling that high strike earlier in the game, but Hoach hit a few spots in this inning and didn't get it.
Ishikawa earlier in the game pulled a ball in that area and closer to the field. Very dangerous line drive, and thankfully everybody was all right, and that's the 2nd time he's whistled one into the seats. And I think everybody's all right. I hope everybody's all right. Down on strikes. 2 down. Hochevar's 2nd strikeout.
Yep, beat him with that fastball. Had that curveball in the back of his mind, but wasn't able to get his swing off in time.
Sean Rodriguez is 0 for 4. He has scored a run. Hit well to left field. Dyson is back and makes a running play. So the Royals down by 3 to the bottom of the 9th. Eric Hosmer, 2 runs scored and an RBI. Morales is driven in 3. Salvador Perez has 2 hits. Royals score, Pirates score, Royals score. Then the Pirates score, Royals score, Pirates score.
It's time.
Remember we were talking about how both these teams are the best, 2 of the best in baseball at answering right away after their opponent scores, and they've been duking it out all night. Only the Rockies, a last place team in the West with bloated offensive numbers in that ballpark, but the 2 contending teams who are the best at scoring and answering their opponent right away are here at Kauffman Stadium tonight, and at it again. This is Mark Melancon, Pirate closer. He's had an outstanding year. 29 saves, 30 chances, a 1.47 ERA.
Yep, he'll be tough, like every closer in Major League Baseball is. He's got a fastball 90 to 95, a 2-seamer. He'll cut and sink it, curveball and changeup. Veteran pitchers, been around. Yankees, Astros, Red Sox. Set that table up.
Fancy looking shoes. You see that?
Got my attention.
Eric Hosmer's been on base 3 times. He has driven in a run. He has scored twice. Fastball with some cutting action. Some in the game might argue that with Mariano Rivera retired, that right there is the best cut fastball in the game right now.
It's not easy, especially when you mentioned Mariano Rivera. That's the only pitch he threw. It's incredible. So no wonder so many guys have picked that up. I mean, Wade Davis has a nice one, and Hoch's is good.
Two and two on Hosmer. Been a long night for that young lady, but if her team can hang on, it'll be worth it. 3 outs from now. Royals have other plans. In on the fists. Cutter at 92.
Mentioned the 2 home runs he's given up, 1 to a righty, 1 to a lefty.
That guy's got his rally Sunday helmet on. I think he ate some ice cream out of that before he used it as a helmet.
I think he did.
3-2.
Might have went up, washed it out. Now he's wearing it.
Now he's making sounds with it. Leadoff walk. Royals need one more runner for a chance.
A nice take on the curveball. It's a good looking curve, but it's off.
As promised earlier in the game, it's Miller time, brought to you by Miller Lite.
A.J. Burnett, he came to the K here and found a couple left-handed bats. It went over the wall. That one there off the fair pole in that case. And Moose hit a nice linea off of it.
Oh, 0-1. So 65 driven in. That leads the American League. Kendrys Morales in his first year with the Royals. He is 0 for 2 against this pitcher. And now down in the count, no balls, 2 strikes. With Glenn Perkins blowing a save the other night in Oakland, the longest consecutive save streak belongs to Melanson. 27 in a row. And that is a Pirates record. So he goes with that pitch again. Kendrys doesn't go for that one. 1-2. So that's why earlier in the game, Clint Hurdle left Castardo in there to face Kendrys. The power is from this side of the plate. And he has more at bats from this side of the plate, to be fair.
But productive nonetheless, both sides. So you pick your poison. That's the value of having a designated hitter that switch hits. Just another added player that has done exactly what they were hoping he would do.
Two and two, good adjustment. Morales swung at 2 pitches like that one to fall behind 0-2 and now lays off 2 in a row. Melanson's also working on a milestone tonight. If he can close out this game, it'll be save number 100 in his career. And from 0-2 to 3-2. He had only walked 8 in 43 innings. He walked Hosmer. Hosmer had not walked in 55 plate appearances. And Kendrys Morales certainly isn't known for his walks, and he's taken the count from 0-2 to 3-2.
He's got to challenge him here.
This is 5-6-3 with Rodriguez, the third baseman, over on the right side. So he did challenge him, and that cutter got in just enough. And now Salvador Perez with a 2-hit game. Either team has set the world on fire this year when it comes to offense, but you wouldn't know that by tonight. 17 runs, 31 hits, 3 home runs. And the tone was set very early. The Royals had a run in the first inning, 3 pitches into the bottom of the first, and then the Pirates answered with 4 in the second, and it was on from there. So the Royals led 1-0. The Pirates 4-1. They had a 5-1 lead. They had a 7-2 lead, and the Royals cut the lead at one point to 8-7 with 2 runs in the top of the 8th inning. Huge for the Pirates, and that was the 2-run triple by Neil Walker, driving in Sean Rodriguez and Gregory Blanco. That'll be out of play. Crowd has thinned out quite a bit, as you might imagine. We're 3.5 hours into this, but it was another sellout. 38,169 here tonight, and many fans who have left already left disappointed. But it was an entertaining game. Mark Melancon with career save number 100. And he has saved 28 in a row. And Travis Ishikawa, the last time he was on this field, he was celebrating a World Series championship with the San Francisco Giants. Now returning with the Pirates. He has 4 RBIs. He was 1 for 13 when the game began. And the Pittsburgh Pirates, who were swept over the weekend by the last place Milwaukee Brewers, come into Kauffman Stadium and take game 1 10-7. 3 hours and 31 minutes. We'll be right back.